guys, welcome to In the Corner with A. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 1 of In the Corner. So before we get into this episode, it's been so long overdue. I've been doing this for like about almost 2 years now. I've wanted to have my own podcast slash own show since 2021. I did have several attempts, but you know when you just like record your own stuff but don't really post them online, that's exactly what it was for me. I did end up having a podcast with someone that I really enjoyed working with, but that's been discontinued. It's all in the past. However, in the Corner with A has always been a safe space for myself in a way to digress and just dive into my emotions, my spiritual self, my ambitions, my goals, my just everything about me. But within doing so, I did have a TikTok page and I did come across a bunch of beautiful people who just felt so in tune with my posts, and I felt like, okay, you know what, I need to have long form content, long form videos where people can just sit and listen to my voice, because I do get told I have a very charming, tranquil voice. But yeah, nonetheless, in today's episode, we are going to be speaking about the power of being in the present moment and the change that it can make for your future self. But first of all, Happy New Year's, y'all. I don't really do New Year's. I don't ever like go out to celebrate. I just feel like when it comes to New Year's reflection, it's really important to do have your fun with your friends and do stay intact with your support system. But at the same time, you need to have time for yourself to really sit and plan out what you want your life to look like the next year, because I feel like growing up for me as well, there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of, holy shit, it's the new year. 12 new long fucking months. What am I going to do within those moments? What am I going to do within that time? But yeah, no, just self-reflection. I feel like it's such an important step, because once you realize your pros and cons that you have to your life, your certain attributes that you like, some that you don't like, some that you need to change, habits that you must, alter to get to that new stage in life that you really want, it's important to sit down and actually just take everything in. And I feel like within the last year, especially the last 2 years, 2023 and 24, I've learned so much about myself, what I let disrupt my peace, what I don't let antagonize my peace. And I feel like just being able to sit and list out what needs to change really has a long-term effect on your aura and your energy. And I say this because I'm not the type to go around and act as if like I'm the bougiest bitch to walk down the street, but people can really pick up on energy. And you know what I find so hilarious looking back on is, back when I thought I was confident and I had this ego of no one can ever cross me, people saw through me like you can see through a glass fucking house. And once I realized that, okay, no, this is all an act, really and truly sit down and determine what you want your future to look like. So there's a massive difference in acting like you are confident versus being confident. And as life and time went on, I found out that this is like a casual scenario. For example, if I was to go to like, I don't know, Camden Town, right? I would just be walking. Everyone's eyes would divert to me. Everyone would just sense that there's someone in the room. And 3-4 years ago, that was never the case. I was never the shy kid to be like in the corner and just like be left out. I always made friends. I always had my ways, but it came from a place of fear of abandonment. It came from a place of fear of rejection, where I had to put myself out on the spot in order to attain the friend, in order to obtain that reputation, if you get what I mean. But that versus actually appreciating you for who you are and not putting on an act, once you start giving yourself the love, other people will see it in you. People will gravitate towards you. That's what I realized. If someone stares at you, it could either mean two things. They want to be you, they don't like you. That's completely fine. But it's gotten to a point where you do get stopped on the street and people are like, you look so pretty today. There's just something about you that speaks volume. I've been told that before. And it just goes to show that, every little thing in life, most of the time we overthink, and it's just the little voices in our mind that means nothing. And also, just a disclaimer, I jump cut stories, so I'll try to stay on point as much as I can. But when I went to Greece last year for the first time, this was the first time I traveled, in the sense where I was able to fully enjoy the moment. There was no motive. It wasn't because family had to travel with me. I went on my own way to travel with a friend. And obviously it was so exciting because new holiday, new adventures begin, like a new life starts. It felt like a new coming of age. That's what it felt like, if I was to put it into words. But yeah, no, I learned so much about myself. And in that moment, I was obviously going through a situation where I won't be speaking about it now. I feel like as time goes on, you will start to see more of me, which is completely fine because, hello, great things take time. But what do you call it? I feel like as time went on, in that moment that I was in dealing with that, and then I was also in Greece, it really opened my eyes that there is so much more to life than your current surroundings. There's a whole life out there that people need to really live and understand and just feel in the moment to really get that life is not just XYZ. There is more to life. And going back to my point about the power of the present moment, yeah, when you go on holiday, people take photos for memories and that. But when you look at people who attend concerts and shows and festivals, everyone is fucking filming. And fair to say, yeah, they'll look back on it. But I feel like in that moment, those are pure moments of joy that pictures cannot pick up the true emotion and feeling behind it versus being in the actual moment. And whilst I was in Greece, I was like, there is so much more to life than what I see on Netflix. There is so much more to life than what I see back at home in London. There is just so much more to life that we tend to sit and succumb our emotions to because we are forced to feel some type of way. Society makes us put ourselves in a box where we're supposed to be scrolling through our social. We're not supposed to be doing that, but that's what society has come to. Everyone's just fucking scrolling on social media. Everyone's just taking pictures and videos. They don't even sit in the moment to really appreciate quality time. And I feel like as time goes on, like time speeds up. How is it that we're in 2025? Like it was not 2023 yesterday. Like that's exactly what it is. Time just fucking goes and goes and goes, and time never stops for anyone. Never. So I feel like people really take the blessing of time that we have to, they just take it for granted. You're supposed to appreciate every single moment you have because literally you never know when life is going to come to a pause. That's the thing. That's the scary thing about life is everything can go so well for you, but out of nowhere, it will just quickly turn to God knows what. Um, but yeah, no, it's also going back to the point of really appreciating your surroundings. I feel like, you know, when you have good moments with your friends and you just sat there enjoying that quality time and you guys just tend to sit and observe everything, like, oh my gosh, guys, we're sat here eating pizza on a fucking hill at 2 in the morning, you know, like, it's small things in life that really contribute to our mental health because literally, I remember growing up when I was 17, 18, I would want to hang out with my friends. We would go to someone's house, they would just be playing fucking PlayStation, watching shows. There was no like sense of what's the word fulfillment or joy of trying to bring out that inner child. We all have inner childs in ourselves, right? So it basically is such an important factor to sit there and actually do things that fulfill that inner need. For example, some people it could be like writing, drawing, music, or some people it could just be like fucking running on a field of daisies because that's what makes us happy on the inside. And I feel like, you know, there's this whole construct between living out your inner child versus being a certain age and you have to you have to attain certain things in life by a specific age or certain time. And that's the whole thing about why just the whole present moment and why people are not so in it is because everyone is in a fucking rush. Everyone is in a rat race. What are we racing for? Freedom, happiness. But happiness literally is stored within us. But because we are so conditioned to chase after one thing, whether it's money, whether it's status, whether it's fame, whether it's a job promotion, like it's become such a rat race that we don't find or utilize the happiness or energy that we have in ourselves to give to ourselves, you know, and then it comes to a point where we start to feel lonely and then we feel the need to dive into relationships and dating, and that in itself I feel like has become such a toxic topic in today's generation where people just play games, and you just end up in this whole fucking like circle of just trust issues, heartbreak, depending on someone else for happiness when you're supposed to find it in yourself because it is in yourself. But because you're not tapped in with your inner spirit and soul, you just don't know how to navigate. So people just tend to go from person to person to person after a breakup, person to person to person. And it's just this constant cycle. And then you're left on your own. You're going to be in your mid fucking 30s having a whole existential crisis because you don't know how to control your feelings or figure how you're supposed to love someone because you're supposed to love yourself. There's this quote that I really found interesting growing up is, how can you love someone if you don't love yourself? And you know, when we're kids, we're just like, oh, what the fuck? Like, that means nothing. Once you actually, I feel like in life, you have to go through certain things to really understand personal quotes. And I was always one of them ones where it was like, I never really understood it. But until you actually go into the person's shoes and actually go through it yourself, things will start to make sense. We always have this thing where it's like, we go through trials and tribulations, but there's this ounce of regret. I feel like in order to live a happy contentment life is you have to be okay with what's happened in your past. A lot of people will tend to sit there and hold grudges from people that they have issues with in the past because this person spoke shit about me, this person stole money from me, like just whatever the situation circumstance may be. I just feel like people tend to hold on to something that actually drags them down, and that's why they don't grow because they live in the past. They live every life they have in the past. tomorrow they'll still live in the past. Like, people need to really understand that this life is not promised. Nothing in this life is promised. You're supposed to capture everything and enjoy everything life has to bring you, because that's the beauty in it. But yeah, no, I feel like topics like this are ones that you would have with your friends at 2 in the morning. Do you feel me? I mean, it's like what, 10 p.m. So I'm not really in tune with that state of mind, but more episodes to come, you guys. But yeah, no, this is gonna be like a little starter introduction that, being in the present moment is something that everyone should value, because God, I've had so many times where I would have good times with my friends. And one thing about me, right? What I do is when I do have like a fun moment with my friends, whether we're at like a festival. I've never been to a festival, by the way, crazy. I've had my own music shows, but I've never been to a festival. Flex. Yeah, no, when I'm with my friends and let's say like some of them are high, we're like eating food, having a good time laughing, I would get my phone out to record, but I'll just leave it there like a camera. You know how like when we were kids and our parents would like videotape us so that we can watch it in the future? That's exactly what I do. But people tend to just sit there and record the Snapchat and just focus mainly on the recording, not being in the present moment. I leave that camera there to have it recorded and we're just having our fun. And then looking back on it, you're like, damn, that was a really good time. But the thing is, some people will get lost in the recording that they won't actually take a step back. They'll sit and watch the live through the video. Like they won't. Does that make sense? I feel like I talk so much shit because I do. But yeah, just it's important to really live life the way you want to live it and actually being in tune and present with the time you have, because you never know when you're gonna die. And it's such a crazy thing, because I feel like as you grow older and you start to see more shit and more news in the politics and the whole like wars and shit that's going on in the world, you tend to really take everything like, oh, well, I'm in a comfortable house, I'm in a comfortable bed, I can sleep comfortably, like I don't need to worry about it because our country is not at conflict. But that's the thing. Those people weren't very much aware that conflict was going to come their way. So it's just like, appreciate everything you really have in life. Appreciate everything you have in life. Like, count in the blessings. Like, literally, I feel like a lot of people take it for granted. We shower with warm water. Be blessed for that. Be grateful for that. People literally shower with fucking cold water and they freeze to death because of stuff like that. Clean water, they drink it. Healthy food, they have access to everything. And the thing is, with us, we become so, what's the word? We become so, what the fuck is the word? We become so aware that we have all of this and it's all easily accessible to us, but we just don't really see the value in it anymore. It's like, oh, okay, I feel like craving something today. We have the privilege to be ordering food. Someone else probably orders food like twice every single year because they don't have the funds for it, because they can't have access to it like we do easily. So, I don't know, man. I feel like once you start to appreciate life and you're actually grateful for everything, you really start to understand inner happiness and peace. And that's the one thing. That's such an important thing to mention, is people will sit there and be like, what do you want in your life? And people will always say happiness and contentment. But because they are so conditioned to chase that happiness and contentment, they think it comes in money. They think it comes in job promotions. They think it comes in friends. It does come, but in increments. But really and truly, to be content with yourself and to live a happy life, you need to be happy with who you are as an individual, what spirit and aura you have attached to your name, and how you make use of your time. Do not be a bum. Don't sit and waste your time chatting to people. Don't sit and waste your time daydreaming about what life should be when you're supposed to put in the work to make life what it should be for you. Thinking and sitting is not going to do anything. Yeah, you can sit, think, and have visions and plan them out. But if you're doing that without any action, what are you doing? You know? But yeah, I feel like just take life as it is. And, the more you really sit, like right now, I am recording this podcast. On the outside looking in, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just recording a video. But on the inside looking out, I'm giving out useful information. It's like my therapy. I'm really appreciating what I'm doing. I'm using the power of my voice, the power of my energy, the power of my character, my skill, my charisma to entertain, to provide, to just express. And I feel like once you really take a deeper look into life like that, you appreciate everything 10 times more. So, yeah, that is the power of the present moment and the change within. That's all I got to say for episode 1. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Kind of like a rushed episode, but, haven't been on socials for about 2 years. Been taking a little break, but that spark is always within, and it will come out in future episodes. So, take care, my lovelies. I love you, and, yeah, have a good day wherever you are in the world.